Missing out on social cues. Hello, my name is Augustus, and I learn about social barriers and norms to help people become their true self in life. If you like my videos, please hit subscribe, and these videos will come flying to you. So today I want to talk about missing out on social cues. And I am going to start this off with a little scenario I had that I have experienced. So I was sitting in Starbucks and got like this barista just sitting there and just calling out this guy's name. I think it was like Mike or something. But she was calling out his name like 5-6 times. And I was like, dude, what is this guy even here? And the thing is, in that whole situation, the barista was frustrated. The barista just wants to get the coffee to the guy. And at the same time, the guy is not getting his coffee that he paid for. So it's almost like a lose-lose situation. And this is what I imagine social cues are like. Because really, nobody wins. Like, the person is trying to tell you something and you're not getting it. And both sides feels awkward. This is kind of what social cues are like. The problem here is, though, no one really teaches you about social cues. It's like something that you're just subconsciously being able to get. It's almost something that's been taught growing up, almost like unspoken rules. And these rules can vary depending on your setting. If you're like with a friend, or if you are out at a wedding, or if you are at a pool party. Like, all these things can change depending on where you're at and the type of people you're hanging out with. That's why social cues are so difficult to pick up, because it's circumstantial. Means that unless you are there in that particular situation and someone points it out to you, the chances of you getting it is going to be not that high, unless you have like a tape recorder and you keep replaying that situation over and over and try to examine what exactly went wrong. And even then, it's tough. So it's tough when you don't have people looking out teaching you about social cues. But the best environment to learn is definitely through real life actions, where you can see and you can learn and mimic what the other person is trying to teach you. So, but if you're just starting out and you're being like completely isolated from the whole entire community for long periods of time, I want to touch on this aspect first, that you need a decent level of self-esteem to learn social cues. If you just try to jump from 0 to trying to learn social cues, you will not have the self-esteem to follow up through your social interactions. You need self-esteem to learn social cues, but not just social cues, but like everything. Like, to be able to learn and develop, because when you go through any process of learning, you have to learn, fail, learn, fail, and maybe like after, I don't know, 10 times, hopefully, then you actually learn what that's supposed to be. But you have to have that capability of failing. And that is where your self-esteem comes in. So that part is very important. And I know, like, for this one, there's so many cues I could be talking about, but I'm going to give you 3 right here. And I'm just going to go through them. These are 3 commonly missed ones. So number 1 is not understanding personal space. Personal space, it's pretty important. Like right now, let's say I'm talking to you. Okay, I'm going to shift around. So here, me, this distance, probably like maybe like an arm length away, this is where you and like a normal friend will talk into. If it's slightly further, then that person might not feel as comfortable with you, so that might be slightly friend more of a stranger. If it gets really close, anywhere from closer than arm length, then it might be more than a friend. So this is why you see like people that are like couples, they're like glued together, you can see them how physically close they are in. If you try to go too close to someone too fast, the person will repel you, the person will feel uncomfortable, so you have to understand personal space. Do not violate them. When in doubt, go further out and not as close. Wait for them to invite you in. Okay, now second one is go light before you go deep. So this is similar. Sometimes when we meet someone and we have this tendency, maybe want to just share our whole entire life with them, but that usually makes us seem very needy, and you want to go slightly in. You always give a little bit, share a little bit more about yourself, and most of the time even throughout 5-6 conversations. But after all that, then you get to know the entirety of the person. If you just go straight in, share everything, that will push people away. Now, a third one is not talking about things that are conversation enders. So these are kind of like saying things that are like really negative, or it brings a very negative energy to the conversation. This is commonly not what people talk about socially. Not saying that people just want to talk about all happy things, but there is a time and a place for things that are more serious, and people needs to be prepared for it. So let's say if I'm talking to someone else and they're just talking about how they came back from Disneyland, I'm like, oh yeah, and then what you say is what I'll say to him as a conversation ender was like, hey, did you know that ride broke down and crashed and killed 50 people? You feel that? You just kind of feel like, oh, dang, that's serious. Like, that's one of the other unspoken rules in terms of what to say, what not to say. If you have problems understanding these ones, feel free to drop me a question, let me know, or if you have other things that you want explanations for and have no idea, I'll try to help you out. So yeah, everything's comment section. Okay. But with this, getting a little long, but encourage you guys, stay strong, go for it, develop that self-esteem first. Okay, take care. And I learned about social barriers and norms to help people become their true self in life. And today we are going to talk about, So jumping into things too quickly.